My name is Margaret Ann Windsor. The name that I have to use is Peggy Ann Dempsey. Uh, Married name was Childers. Um, I was kidnapped in 41 from Buckingham Palace and brought to Mo from Alabama in 41, where I was given the name of a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey, and both twins were really dead, Peggy and Carl, Preston and Dempsey. Their mother had killed them, and I grew up in this, like a pigsty, a horrible, horrible, terrorizing bunch of people, family, if you call it that. My father is the real King Edward VIII, who married my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe Windsor, American Catholic commoner, Irish, which didn't sit well with part of the Windsors, but this was really part of the New World Order back then, which was the Freemasons. And part of my family's Windsors are Freemasons, I'm sad to say. So they were in on my kidnapping. This is Elizabeth and her father and my uncle, my father's brother, George the Sixth. The King's Speech was a movie about him, which portrayed him as a good guy. It told nothing of the truth. My father never married Wallace Warfield Simpson. A double, a look-alike did, and they became the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, and successfully stole my father's identity. And Roosevelt, who was president, my Uncle George was at the White House. I have a picture of that I put on prior tapes. In 1939, they were planning my kidnapping in 41 with Joseph Kennedy. This is John Kennedy's father, who was ambassador from 36 till he was kicked out in 46. And therein lies why they will not, this is the 50th year coming up, why they will not tell the truth about John Kennedy. It would lead back to my kidnapping, and the people here don't give a damn about me. John Kennedy was a kidnapper, his father. He continued it with Robert. And it's okay with this country. I wrote about mind control murders. I was led into it. I worked for doctors, number one. And in 77, 78, I wrote a medical malpractice book about programming and mind control. And this is, you can program people to commit any act, shooting, kill somebody with a butcher knife, run off the river and drown like Jessica Savage. I think she was NBC correspondent, but there's a list of all these type murders that can be proven because they were done in patterns. Now, I want to go to my father. I came up here. I ran in a political campaign in 83 when Larry McDonald, who was a congressman, U.S. congressman and physician from Atlanta, Piedmont Hospital, he was one that I wrote about in the book, in mind control. Now, this is later on, and I'm skipping time because so much happened to me. I had gotten a letter June the 23rd of 79 from the U.S. Attorney's Office, William Harper, out of Atlanta, of an ongoing investigation, national security involved. Okay, I want to bring in Jean Seberg, the actress, because she was murdered November of 79, and you got COINTELPRO, which is police, international police. And it even says that, if you don't want to take my word for it. I know because the pattern is used. But they say she committed suicide. They had harassed her. They had lied about her, defamed her, everything. And they can make it look like you've committed suicide. They can control your decision-making, everything. So in April 1st of 1980, I had antifreeze put in me, and I should have died. Instead, I was illegally taken across the state line to Alabama and made to stay with Lina Dempsey, the woman I grew up being told was my mother. She had killed her twins. So this is a psychopath I'm having to live with, and she's trying to kill me because she's afraid that if I get the book published, that it will expose it all. So, and she would face the gas chamber. So, I was flown to Larry Flint's in '83 during the campaign, and he had been shot, and the person was programmed that shot him, and he did in April of '84, he did an editorial in Hustler, which was nice, saying that I knew the people responsible for his shooting. Um, so now I want to skip to '86 when I couldn't get a job. I was shut down. Um, I mean, if the FBI or certain agencies want to shut you down, you're shut down. The thing is that this wasn't talked about that much. If you said anything about mind control or any of this, then they would say you're mentally ill. If you said something about chips being put in heart bypasses, one of the doctors, cardiovascular, did just that. And I had the name of the person and all of it. It was shown to me. So I've always had the evidence. It's just that there's a gag order been put on it, and nobody, quite frankly, cares what happens to me, because if they told about me and what was done to my father and the total lie, 99-year seal put on it, it would kind of rock the foundations, because this country kidnapped and took down monarch and installed their own, Elizabeth and her father, which allowed the New World Order, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Roosevelts, the Americans, to put bases on British soil and use it as a launching pad to control the world, which they now do, really, through NATO and through, the agencies and the illegal treaties. I came here, and I actually, to live, went up on the Appalachian Trail. And I don't know who's done that or you know about it, but it's cold as heck. In the winter, it's rough terrain. And to go up there and freeze and starve is not a funny matter, especially when no one would help me. In fact, it was the other way around. Now, I wanted to focus on and Bob Goodlatte is now over the Judiciary Committee. He was over the Agriculture Committee. He's from Massachusetts. That's Kennedy country, so I'll just leave that with a question mark. But he was here in Roanoke, U.S. Congressional, over the House of Representatives. He's over the Agriculture, which is over the food stamp and the law enforcement, the forestry. Okay, U.S. Forestry. So the forestry was used in this to send out the rangers who would come out and run me and lock me up and call local law enforcement. So I had just beaten some of the people that did the trail would actually laugh. This has been a joke. Laugh and say, "Are you running from the police?" So there's nothing funny to me about it. The Americans find it funny. And later, at first it wasn't that way, because there was a German that was a friend of mine, Siegfried and Ursula, and their last name was started with an H, but he was a doctor. He was retired, and they were my friends, and they at first were on the trail and tried to help me. Later, they changed, and people in Harper's Ferry up there, where the trail people have the organization, the volunteers and all of it changed. And anyway, the people that volunteered, the trail people, were actually used to come out and spray my tent when I managed to get one, soak my sleeping bag when I managed to get that, because I couldn't get a job and couldn't get a place to stay. When I did, that was soaked and sprayed, and I put that on power tapes, and I've got the evidence and everything. It's just I can't get an attorney, and I'm dying, quite frankly. I'm allergic to chemicals, and my immune system shuts down when I'm around some industrial and household. especially when it's used inside my residence and I'm force-fed it, and that's exactly what's been done. And that's on prior videos. Um, Now, I'm not going to have time to do this. I went to the federal building some years ago before I started getting any money. And, the FBI are behind closed doors. You can't go in unless they want you to. So that time and I may have to do a number two on this one, continue it, because I'm going to run out of time on this tape and video and can't upload it. I went in that day, and this is back, I would say, about 96. I can't remember, 97. But I went in, and this day, when I pushed the button and the buzzer, well, they opened the door for me. And the Pops building was a federal building back then. And I have been arrested for, quote, using the forestry for residential area. You have to know the laws broken against me, the terrific, horrific crimes done to me, and then I'm the one getting arrested. And yes, I went to jail, and yes, the TV, 7, 10, 13 here all covered that. Not one bit of truth was told. And the day when and I'm going to have to continue this one, the FBI guy came out, and they opened the door, and I sit in a little waiting room, small, and he came out, and this all makes me look like, if you don't care to hear it, that I'm nuts. He came out, sit down by me, and he was using his hands like he's a nut, And I kept trying to say, well, why don't you do something about the birth certificates of Peggy and Carl? I said, that's not even me. And, of course, he knew about me doing the book and all that. It was staged, his coming out there and everything. So he's going, I don't want to hear about the birth certificates. I don't want to hear about your name. And he's waving his hands and acting like he's a nut and loud. So he says, well, I tell you what, I'll send one of my best guys out there, and out there and out on the trail where I was at Full Heart and Knob and Appalachian Trail and Troutville and that whole area that I've done north and some of it south and everything. So I had camped out later, and this is after I had been locked up and spent a month in jail, could have gotten 6 months, and the federal judge's name was Wilson. And they've made it so ludicrous because they've done the mind control in patterns, killing people and all this, which the American people are responsible because they've allowed it to happen. What happened to me, they helped do for 74 years, so you can't blame the FBI alone for this. In fact, they may have been in a part of keeping me alive, okay? It's your people that killed me and allowed all this to happen. First I want to show, this is what let me show the birth certificate real quick of Peggy and Carl. If I can. This is not even me. It's the state of Alabama. Just marked through them because who's going to do anything about it? Here's Peggy, and this is the name that I had to use. And they just marked through the date here. And I want you to note R.P. Irwin's name. That I hope I'm getting it on it, because that's important in this. They were twins in his name. And this is Carl Preston, the other twin who was dead. They just marked through the date on it. This is a death certificate for him. But they actually just killed him, and it was, they even changed the death certificate, Alabama did, when I asked for copies. There was no doctor, no nothing. They just killed him and disposed of him. Now, Peggy was thrown to the pigs, the real Peggy, and then I was placed there later.